Hey guys, thank you so much for being in this masterclass. I'm super happy. I'm so excited to teach you everything about the finishing, like the different type of glaze. I've been like struggling a lot with glaze. I think that was one of my like main issues. And it's a lot of people that have the same problem, like you make a glaze, but how it can stay like really nice and shiny like for a long time. Like why the glaze, for example, you pour the glaze and then it's like leaking over, it's not holding properly, or it's not shiny, it doesn't hold good in the fridge. So in this masterclass, I'm going to be teaching you everything about glaze. After you watch this video, you're gonna be like a glaze coating velvet master. So trust me, I'm gonna give you all the tips, all the best advices that I didn't have and that I had to figure out. So we're going to start. I'm gonna show you 5 different techniques. So in those 5 techniques, we're gonna go from like simple techniques like just pouring glaze on the dessert. Then we're gonna do another technique like with the coating and then the pouring glaze. Then we're gonna also do another coating and we're gonna do the velvet spray on the coating. And to finish, the last one is my favorite one. I've been using this one a lot. It's very productive. Well, I'm gonna tell you more about it when we get to it. But this one is the shiny spray. So basically, it's like you spread the desserts and it's shiny and it stays shiny so long. And it's so beautiful and it's so productive. So let's start with the regular pouring glaze. So for the regular pouring glaze, so you have, I'm going to give you the recipe at the end of this masterclass. You're gonna receive an ebook by email. So you're gonna have all the recipe, don't worry about it, with all the details as well. But right now I'm going to explain you even more details. So don't miss any advices. So this masterclass is really focused on technique. So the recipe, I think for me, the most important is the technique. You can have any recipe. If you don't know how to do the perfect technique in that recipe, it's not gonna work. I think the most important, yes, is the technique, not the recipe. I can have a recipe that is not amazing, but if I do it good, I'm gonna have better result than if you have a best recipe that you don't have the technique with. So it's like going all together. So in this masterclass, you're gonna have the best technique with the best recipe. So basically for the pouring glaze, so in the ebook that you're gonna get, you're gonna have the explanation, but I'm still gonna go over again. So when you make this glaze, basically you have to make the glaze super important the day before, because in this glaze you have chocolate and you need to make sure that the chocolate is going to crystallize. And to crystallize, you need time. So always make this glaze one day before. And then in the ebook, you're gonna have all the explanation of the step to make this glaze. Right now, I really wanna show you is the technique. That's the most important. So for the technique, basically you make your glaze the day before, you warm it up in the microwave, and then you have to emergent blend it, and it needs to get 30 degrees. It can be in between like 28 and 32. So what's gonna happen if you get it to 28, it's gonna be a little bit thicker. If you get it to 32 degrees Celsius, so I'm talking in Celsius always, so you can keep it up. So always, if you go over 30 degrees, then the glaze is gonna be a little bit too hot and you might melt the mousse. So, and also if you go to 32 degrees, it's gonna be a little bit thinner. So for this glaze, always emergent blender. The best brand for the glaze, for this glaze specifically, the best brand of emergent blender is Bamix. Unfortunately, I broke my Bamix. I sent it to repair and it never came back. So I'm not trying to sell a Bamix, but I'm just giving you the best advices to make the best glaze. So you have to warm it up in the microwave. If it's too hot when you warm it up, what you can do is just take some cold glaze and add it up here. So just to cool down the temperature. And if it's too cold, just put it back a little bit more in the microwave. For this glaze, I just recommend just put in the microwave. You don't want to put in a pot because there's chocolate, condensed milk, and then it might burn or warm up too fast. So right now, what you want to do is like removing all the bubbles. So make sure you put your emulsion blender on the side. It's gonna create a spiral, and in this spiral, all the bubbles are gonna go inside and they're gonna disappear. So you wanna go up a little bit, but you don't wanna go too high. Otherwise, if you hear a noise, then you can incorporate even more bubbles. I know some emergent blender doesn't work for this, especially one brand. I don't want to be bad with that brand. But KitchenAid emergent blender for this glaze is a disaster. So if you have a KitchenAid, don't even try to use it. They have amazing KitchenAid for the mixing part, but for the emergent blender, it's a disaster. So make sure you remove all the bubbles. Have your glaze ready, the right temperature. So I'm gonna check, but I can see the fluidity. I can see we're probably about like 21, 30. So let's check it out. My gun is right there. All right, so 31. I don't even need the thermometer. Perfect, 31. So you have your glaze ready. Now there's like a very important thing that is a mistake that I used to do a lot and I didn't notice because you don't see it. But whenever you have your dessert ready, so basically it's inside the silicone mold, okay? You're going to freeze your desserts, make sure it's really frozen. Then you unmold it. The best is once you unmold it, that you glaze it right away. So you take it out from the freezer. So it's right now here in the back in the freezer. So I'm taking it out. I'm gonna put it here and I'm gonna glaze it right away. What you don't wanna do is like to put it here on the rack and wait 5 minutes because during this 5 minutes, what's gonna happen is because the dessert is frozen and then it's here is room temperature. So it's gonna create a shock thermic and you're gonna start to have condensation on the desserts. So what's gonna happen, condensation is basically water. And then if you put your glaze on the water, it's not gonna stick to the mousse. So then your glaze is gonna leak. That was one of the biggest mistake I used to do because I didn't know. I just take my desserts out, then I do my glaze. Yeah, but it's not working like this. Because the time you do your glaze, if it's 5 minutes, it's a little bit warm in your kitchen or in your home, then it's gonna have condensation. That was like the condensation, I think, is the main issue like for glazing. So if you do this and you pour your glaze, you're gonna see your glaze like leaking down and it's not gonna hold on the mousse. Also, if you take out your desserts and then you put it back in the freezer, okay, basically the condensation is gonna create ice. And it's gonna be the same thing. You're gonna put, it's gonna melt the ice, and then your glaze is gonna leak. So very important. Take out your dessert and glaze it right away. So I have here. So here I just like made like just to show you, it's like a white chocolate mousse. So this mousse has a good consistency. It's not like if you make a mousse, for example, with like a Italian meringue with puree, you know, like the fact that it's a white chocolate, the desserts are gonna hold much better. Um, so here you go. So when you glaze it, always I do the same. I see a lot of people doing this mistake is like they're trying to go all around the desserts, but no. What you wanna do is just you pour it right in the middle, and then it's gonna go all around nicely. So you see, like you do like this in the middle, and then it just slick perfectly. But sometimes if you try to go like around like this and then you miss some spot, and then oh I have to reglaze it, and then you just reglaze the only part that is missing, then you're gonna see that it has been glazed twice. So the best way is just pour in the middle, and then also it's gonna depend on the shape that you have. But this I'm going to explain you later, like why I use other glaze on different shape. So this pouring glaze is really nice. It's really good to use like on a shape that like it's smooth, that doesn't have too much details, because this one is pretty thick. So the good thing with this glaze is that it's super shiny. Like it looks really nice. So that's the good thing. It's pretty quick to pour. You can like glaze like a lot of desserts very fast. So I think this is like the very good point. Now the other side, that if you use this glaze on a dessert that has a lot of details, then when you're gonna pour it, because it's pretty thick, this one, when you pour it on a dessert, then you're going to cover all the details. So depending on the shape, if it's a round shape like this, I would use this glaze, that's for sure. Then if you have like, different shape, or if you have a dessert that have some holes, then you're gonna pour this one, and then the glaze is gonna stay in the holes. And basically when you eat the desserts, you're gonna eat glaze. The glaze is just made for decoration. You're not supposed to have the glaze and to have a nice taste. So just really like to make it look good. So also like right now I choose orange because I had to choose the color events. Um, so I choose orange. Let's say if your mousse underneath is green and then you use an orange. The fact that you only have the glaze on the dessert, at if at some point the green is going to come out a little bit, especially if you keep more than 2 days in your display case. So sometimes you make desserts, but you're not selling the same thing, all the desserts the same day, and then after one day, it's gonna start to get transparent. So this glaze is really good. Like you pour it and you sell it like very fast, especially like for example for restaurant, you have to do a plated dessert. You take this glaze, you put it, it's super shiny, and people gonna eat it right away. That's perfect. Now the only thing is once you glaze it, you can't touch it anymore because if you touch it, you're gonna have your fingerprint on it. So that's the little side of these desserts. So you have good point and bad point depending on the utility that you wanna do. So now I'm going to show you the same technique but more elaborated. So basically we are going to do this glaze, but we're going to apply a coating on the desserts. And I'm going to explain you why we're going to apply this coating. So I'm going to do it, and in the same time, I'm going to explain you. So these desserts here. So here we have the coating. So let me explain you the coating. So the coating is 50-50. So you have 50% of white chocolate and 50% of cocoa butter. So the cocoa butter is really what's going to give the hard shell to the desserts. So the coating, by applying the coating, it's becoming like a hard shell dessert. So now I'm going to explain you why I want this hard shell or not. So basically, the good point with the hard shell is that we're applying already orange to the dessert. So whenever you pour the glaze on it, you are going to already have like a background that is orange. So whenever you put orange, you're really going to have a nice orange color, like very bright. Because even if the glaze start to get a little bit transparent after some times in your display case, because the background is orange, it's going to stay super orange. So that's the really good point. When you apply a coating, is the color. The color is staying really good. Also, the glaze is gonna hold better on the coating than on the mousse. Because the mousse, sometimes when the dessert starts to defrost, it's creating a little bit of water, and then that the glaze doesn't really like water. But when you apply the coating, it's giving a protection to the desserts as well. And then the glaze stays shiny longer. So that's a really good point with the coating. Now, the other good point with the coating is that, let's say in your desserts you have an insert, and your insert is a little bit liquid. So when it's gonna completely defrost, the problem is that your dessert is gonna lose the shape a little bit, depending on your mousse. If you have a white chocolate mousse and you put gelatin inside, the dessert is gonna hold pretty good, but still not enough to keep the nice and round shape. So the good thing with coating is like whatever insert you have inside, even if it's a little bit liquid, the coating is gonna completely protect your dessert and it's going to stay really nice and round. So that's why I really love to work with coating, because you can, take more risk for the insert. You can make bigger inserts. So like even something leaking, like oozing. So when you eat the dessert and it's open and it's like leaking, like this is really good. So this is the good point with the coating. It's completely protecting your desserts. I love that. Now, the bad point of this coating. So first of all, it takes time. So basically, it's like you're applying twice. So you spend twice more time finishing the desserts. So if you do big production, your labor cost is basically going to increase. So that's the first point. And then the other point is like you're adding another ingredient to the dessert. So it's going also to increase your food cost. So then it also gonna depend, like, if you wanna sell your desserts, if you just make desserts at home, you wanna surprise your guests. Um, so this is good. After, if you do mass production, a lot of production, you need to take this in consideration, labor-wise and food cost. So there's like good points and then other bad points. So then you decide which one you want to do from this to this. But I think both techniques are really good. I've used both technique in my business. I used to use this one a lot, but since I found out another technique that is better, the one I'm gonna show you at the end of this masterclass. But yes, like you can see the glaze is super shiny. It looks really nice. Then it's up to you. You know, if you're a little bit adventurous, I would go with the coating depending on your production. So yeah, I hope I was really able to really explain you the most that I know. There's also another thing super important, like once you glaze it, okay, your dessert is glazed. So now it looks really nice, okay? If you keep it outside for too long, what's gonna happen is that your dessert is frozen right now. So if you leave it outside, because of the temperature, it's going to defrost too fast. And if it's defrosting too fast, it's gonna create too much condensation. And then the water is gonna come out and your glaze is gonna start to leak. So the best thing is when you do a glaze like this, you take out your dessert from the freezer, you glaze it right away, and then right away, or you put it in the fridge inside a box so it stays super cold and it defrosts super slowly. And that way, you're gonna prevent having condensation. Or you can put it back right away in the freezer and then you can freeze it. Then, when you wanna defrost it, you take it from the freezer to the fridge so it defrosts super slowly. That's like super important. And the same is the things that I used to do, and I was like, wow, I don't understand. My glaze is like leaking all around and it was not working. So I'm glad I'm able now to share the problem I used to have with you so you don't have the same problem and you save a lot of time. Like, I wish someone told me this when, I was trying to glaze. So, yeah, this is for the glazing part. So now let's go to the velvet part. So I'm going to put this here. Now, next step. So there is some things that are very similar to what I already told you. So same thing is making sure that your desserts. So the desserts, I always keep it inside the silicone mold before I glaze it. I'm not gonna unmold it, for example, and keep it 1 week in my freezer because if it's not protected, the mousse is gonna get burnt with the cold. And once your mousse is burnt, nothing is gonna hold on it. So it's very important that keep it in the silicone mold, unmold it, depending on the freezer you have. Maybe if your freezer is not super, super cold, unmold it, put it back in the freezer, get your, glaze ready or coating ready or velvet spray ready. And then whenever you're ready, take it out and start to spray right away and put it back in the freezer. That's super important. Like it's all about temperature. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're going to first, I'm gonna velvet spray the same dessert, and then I'm gonna put the coating and velvet spray again. So for the velvet spray, I'm using actually the exact same recipe. So just to make it easy, you can use the same recipe. So it's same 50-50 of cocoa butter, and then you have to use it at 40 degrees in a gun. I will explain you also about the gun, the air compressor. Don't get too scared. Actually, I was so scared at the beginning. Oh, air compressor gun seems like a lot, but no, actually, it's not expensive. And then it's super easy to use. And then you can do so many things with a gun. So let me get the desserts, and we're gonna first do the velvet spray. So let's. So this gun is like $30 on Amazon. You can buy like a small compressor. I think I saw some compressor like $60-$70. And then you can use it for a lot of other things. So the gun air compressor, you need to plug it. For the velvet spray also, because I see like they're selling like this little can that you can buy that is only cocoa butter inside and it works the same way. So you can just buy the can and just like spray it directly. I don't know if they have it on Amazon, but it's easy to find. It's pretty common right now. So you can just use the can if you don't want to do a big investment. So now, same dessert. You know, this one I unmolded like 10 minutes ago. So perfect. No frost on it. And then you need to spray it right away. So when you spray, never spray too close. Always like about like 1-2 feet. If you go too close, it's gonna do like some marks. If you go too far, it's gonna take you forever to spray, and you're gonna spray half of your kitchen at the same time. So always do a nice movement. When you spray, you always need to do a movement. You can't just be in the front and spray like this because it's going to be do a big splash on it. Here you go. That was pretty quick. So every time I spray, I always go like front, back, left, and right. You do the full side. So at least you're sure like your color is going to be like homogeneous. You know, it's gonna be like the same everywhere. So the back, up. Okay. So for the velvet, like I love it. I think it looks really nice. It looks super clean. Now, like the good thing about it, like you really can play with the color. Now I did orange, but you can just do orange. You can do another fade of like red. You can do like yellow. You can do like fade of color, and I think it looks really nice. Now you really have to be careful is that is super fragile. You really don't want to have any frost on the dessert. If you have frost on the desserts, it's going to fall right away. Um, the other thing is like if you have, you know, when you unmold your desserts, if like the dessert is not like super smooth, you're going to see all the imperfection. So the good thing with the glaze is like you put it, even if there's some little imperfection, it's okay, it's gonna cover the imperfection. But with the velvet, the problem is like if there's imperfection, you're going to see everything. So this one is like a full sphere, and I unmolded it, it was like super nice and clean, so it looks really amazing. So that's why you need to make sure that you don't have any imperfection. But the good thing with the velvet is like if you have a dessert with a lot of small details, you're gonna still see those details. So that's the good point with the velvets. Like for example, I'm making like a raspberry dessert that has a lot of, you know, the raspberry has a lot of different shape, and if you do the velvet on it, you're gonna keep all these shapes, so you can still see that is a raspberry, for example. So the velvet is really good for this. Now you need to make sure that when you do the velvet spray like this, just velvet spray without the coating, that your dessert is very stable. So let's say if inside your dessert you have an insert like a jelly or compote that is a little bit liquid, and your dessert is going to move a little bit, all your velvet is going to crack. So that's the bad part like with the velvet is like it's super fragile. But let's say you make like a dark chocolate mousse, and then inside you have like a ganache insert and like a brownie cake. You know, it's like super stable. You know, when it's gonna defrost, it's gonna remain the same shape. If it moves a little bit, it's gonna start to break all apart. And I've seen this, and I've had nightmare about this. So then there's other technique that you can do to prevent this issue. So I have some desserts I only do this. It works perfectly because they are pretty stable. The dessert is stable, has enough gelatin, it doesn't move, the shape is perfect. So it always depends on which dessert that you want to do. So that's when you need to decide what do you want to pick for the technique. So right now that I did this one on this dessert, I'm pretty confident with this mousse, white chocolate mousse, pretty stable. It's not going to move. Now, even the freezing part, it's fine. You can freeze it, take it out, and it's not going to move. Now what we're gonna do, if you wanna play it safe and have the hard shell on the desserts. Then we're going to dip it in the coating, and after we're going to spray on the coating. So basically, you're gonna have the hard shell with the velvet effect on it, and I think it's really nice. And then your velvet is also going to stick better on the coating because the chocolate always gonna stick better on the chocolate than on the mousse. So let's do it. So it's the same recipe here. Up. There you go. So the hard shell. It's a lot of work. I know because we do so much desserts with the hard shell. Actually, the exact same um, coating as this one. It's a lot of work, but I think it's worth it. Um, and then you can play more with the like insert that you have inside your dessert. So now for the hard shell, like so hard shell, depending on what you have inside, depending on the thickness of your coating. So the coating, to be honest, you can dip it in between 30 degrees and let's say 50 degrees. So this is the coating for the hard shell. So basically, if you dip it at 30 degrees, you're gonna have a shell that is thicker. So if you want to make sure that your desserts, you want your desserts like to hold really good because inside you have a lot of going on, then I would just dip it at 30 degrees. You're gonna have a thick shell. Then if your dessert is pretty stable, but you still wanna have the hard shell, you can dip it at 50 degrees. Usually my desserts always dip it like 40 degrees. So you have like a hard shell, but it's not too much because this is cocoa butter and white chocolate. It's not like something super tasty. I think it's more about the texture, about having this crunch, about like you can grab the desserts and then like, eat it like this. Um, I think it's a pretty cool technique. Like lately, I've been using this technique a lot, and I love it because you can keep your desserts like 3 days in the display. I don't keep my desserts 3 days in the display, so you know. But if you have to keep it 3 days in your display, the dessert is not going to move. It's going to look like perfect, even after 3 days, because the shell is going to protect everything. So I don't like to have too much hard, like too thick, because then you're just basically eating cocoa butter and chocolate. But like I think 40 degrees Celsius is the good temperature. Same temperature as you're going to put your velvet spray. So now let's spray this one here. Here you go. Easy. Yeah. So this is pretty easy. And what does it look like? Little orange. So you can give like, different effect, different color. You can use any type of color. So just to give you a little reminder, every time you use chocolate, make sure that the food coloring that you use for chocolate needs to be fat soluble because you are mixing your food coloring with fat because the cocoa butter is basically like butter, is fat. So always, if you put like a water base, so if you put a water base food coloring into the chocolate, your chocolate are gonna get thick and it's not gonna work. It's gonna be like really bad. I think after you can put this in the trash. So always make sure that when you add food coloring to this coating, you always have to use fat base. Then when you use this glaze with the syrup, like the pouring glaze, you always have to use water base. I know some people that use fat soluble, so you can put the fat soluble into this glaze, but you cannot put the water soluble into the coating. I hope you understand me. So basically, now we're done with this one. Then the last one and the best one, my favorite glaze, is the spray glaze. So I will tell you everything about it, why I love it so much. So I'm going to remove this. Actually, yeah, I'm just gonna change the rack. Now let's change the tray. Okay. So I'm going to get I'm doing some a little bit cleanup. Always do something when you start something new. Always clean up your station so you stay organized and clean. Perfect. Here you go. So I will turn on my glaze right now. It's already made. I'm just rewarm it up, and then in the same time, I'm going to explain you like how to make it, um, why I why I love it so much. Okay, first point. This glaze is super cheap. It's basically water, glucose, sugar, pectin, and citric acid. So it's super cheap. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you can make it in 5 minutes and use it right away. You don't need to wait 24 hours that the chocolate crystallized because there's no chocolate. So that's really good. You can do it and use it right away. Now, the other good point with this glaze is if you do mass production. When you do mass production, it's very easy to do like a big batch of glaze. And then with the spray gun, it's going super fast. Like you can, like on this rack, usually when we do the desserts, we put like 30 desserts in this rack and we spray them in less than 1 minute. So that's the good point with this glaze. Like in 1 minute, we glaze everything. It looks super, super shiny. The other good thing is like it freezes very well. You can put it in the freezer like 5 months. 5 months later, you take it out and it's super shiny. I did some tests. I left even like 1 year one desserts in the just for a test, and it was super shiny. So there is some like I think that's all the good point with that glaze, and there's some little bad point, but I don't think it's too bad. So the only bad point is like it's very technical. So this glaze has pectin. So basically it's set because of the pectin. So you need to play with the citric acid. So on the recipe, on the ebook that you're going to receive, you have the citric acid. But sometimes depending on your water, if there is like calcium inside, it can vary a little bit. So what you need to do always when you make your glaze, so I'm going to explain you like a little bit the process of the glaze. So you're going to put like sugar, glucose, and water. You're going to bring it to a boil. Once it's boiling, you're going to add your pectin and your sugar that you're going to mix together. For the pectin, you can use ANH pectin. You mix it together, it's like you're making a jelly. So basically, once it's boiling, you're going to put your sugar and your pectin, you're going to mix it. Make sure that when you pour it, you mix it in the same time so you don't get any chunk because you're adding pectin in a liquid. And then you're going to bring it to a boil for 2 minutes, in between 2 and 3 minutes, depending on the quantity. If you do bigger quantity, I would recommend you to boil it for 3 minutes. Once it's done, you stop it and then you add your citric acid. The citric acid is what's going to help for the glaze to set. So now, I always do a test before I spray because it happens to me so many times that the glaze was not setting enough. And once you spray your desserts, you're only gonna find out once your dessert is gonna defrost. So what you do is like you take a bit of glaze and then you put it on the table. You wait like 1 minute, or you can cool it down a little bit. Once it's cold, it needs to be set. If you put it like this on the table and after 1 minute it's still liquid, then you need to add more citric acid. But just add a little bit and do another test. So if it doesn't set, it's because there's not enough citric acid. That's a mistake I have had so many times. But then it could also go the other way. If you put too much citric acid, it's going to set too fast and then it's gonna set inside your gun. So that's another issue that happened to me. And then you need to add water to your glaze. So just you put a little bit by little bit. Just you follow my recipe, and then if necessary, you can add citric acid if you see that your glaze is not setting. So right now I can see the glaze is setting. It's like you see, like the glaze here, I have like already like a little chunk of glaze. It's not liquid at all. If it's liquid, you know. If it's liquid, it's liquid. It doesn't set at all. Then you add citric acid. I really want to mention this because I had so much issues and I finally figured it out after all those years spraying desserts to really master it. So I want you to master it right away. Okay. So now the glaze is ready. What I do, I have my little induction and I put it like in the minimum. So it stays like super hot. So you really want to put this glaze super hot. If it cools down too much, it's going to be too thick and it's not going to come out of your gun. So right now, I have my gun here. And I'm putting my glaze inside. But be careful because it's super hot. So you don't want to splash any glaze on yourself. But it's the only way to use that glaze. So as I was saying, it's a bit more technical than the other glaze, but it's really worth it. Every time I do like this recipe and I do a post on Instagram, and like everybody asks me like, what is your recipe? How come this is can be so shiny? So I got so many people asking me, so I'm like, okay, I really have to teach you guys how to do it. Well, since it's so easy, we're even gonna spray 3 desserts in less than 30 seconds. Same story, make sure there's no frost on it. If there's frost, it's gonna fall. Your glaze, once you put it in the gun, use it right away. If you wait like even 5 minutes, inside here is gonna set and then it's not gonna be able to work anymore. It's not gonna come out. Then you need to go clean your gun, put it apart, put it back, and spray again. So here you go. You see? Imagine 30 desserts on this tray. You would just like spray it like in 2 seconds. The same technique, just apply this movement. But this one is even easier to spread this one than the velvet. Because the velvet, yeah, really, if you go too close, you're gonna have a big splash. This one, if you go too close, it's okay. It's still gonna work. If you see when you spray it's not coming out because, or maybe it sets already inside, usually I press my finger here and I do this so it applies pressure inside and the pieces that is stuck go back inside this. So that's a technique one of my employees told me because every time I was running to the dishwasher to clean the gun, it's like, no, you can do this. So I saved 10 years already since I learned this technique. All right. Okay. Perfect. So the glaze, when you spread that glaze, at the beginning, it always looks like orange skin because the dessert is frozen. So it always going to look a little bit like this. But as it goes, the dessert is gonna defrost and then your glaze is gonna become super shiny. So if you put in the freezer, it's gonna look like this, but then when you take it out and it completely defrosts, super shiny. So the thing is like you don't have the hard shell. So you need to make sure like what desserts you are going to spray. Same. If inside your dessert you have a liquid component and then that your mousse is going to move a little bit, this glaze is not gonna hold your dessert. So, but I use it for so many desserts, but like for example, like on mousse that I know it's holding pretty good. So it's perfect. So this one, like if you have big production, I would like really recommend you to do this glaze. Now I have a big announcement to tell you guys. So I'm going to relaunch my From Dough to Pro online course. This online course is really like made for home baker. So I really hope like the way I'm teaching that you are able really to understand, because in this online course I'm really going like in details. So this course is made for like people that really want to learn, that want to improve their skill, that want to get more confident in the kitchen. Because I've seen a lot of people like losing confidence because they bake from home and they don't have like a guide or someone to tell them what to do, or they don't know the techniques. So really in this course is really made like I'm going step by step and explaining you like all the basics. So I think it's very important when you want to do something, when you want to learn something, to really start from the basics. So in those basics, basically, I'm going to explain you and teach you how to make a sugar, how to cook a sugar, because there's a lot of things that, oh, I want to make a mousse, but first you need to learn how to cook a sugar to be able to make an Italian meringue. And then you can also make a pata bomb. What is a pata bomb? What is Italian meringue? What is Swiss meringue? So in this course, I'm explaining like everything about it. But even starting from how to cook a sugar, because people get intimidated sometimes, like, because it's intimidating, like we all been there, and like cooking a sugar, you put water, you put the sugar in it, but there's like a lot of things that you need to know. So that's one of the main things that I'm starting with, is like the basics. So cooking the sugar, it goes like all the different type of chocolate, so you can understand like what chocolate you can use, what for, like. And I think it's important to start like this, like different type of gelatin. Like maybe you've heard like gelatin sheets, gelatin powder, fish gelatin, but which one do you need to use? So I'm explaining all of this in the course as well. I think it's super important, because you're gonna read a recipe and it's gonna be like, oh, you have to use powdered gelatin, but you don't even know how to make the powdered gelatin from the powder to a gelatin actually. So it gives you like really to better understand like the next future recipe you might read. So there's like how to make flexible chocolate. Like it's going to help you like to create and master like different type of decoration. So I'm giving you the basics, and then it's like you can be so like super creative and make your own desserts. So this like the different pick of whipped cream. Same, okay, you need to whip the cream, but nobody is telling you if you have to do soft peak, medium peak, hard peak. What's the difference? Why you would do soft peak and not hard peak for this one, and the other way around? So really, I'm going in details like why you need to do this and why this is not good. So this is, I think, is same is the basics. Like same when you learn a language, you always start with the basics. So how to make a cornet? Cornet is like something like looks so simple, but eventually you will have to make a cornet if you wanna, like, in my online course, like I have a dessert like with a nice decoration, and everybody every time told me, oh, it looks so nice, the little dot that you put. Those little dot is natural glaze that I'm applying with a cornet, and I'm doing some little dots. But if you don't even know how to make a cornet, you're not gonna be able to do those little dots. And it's like a little detail, but it's adding so much on the dessert. So this is like all the basic things that I will be teaching. Now, in this online course, I have like my best recipes, like recipe I've been using for years, recipe that I use to start my business, like like recipe I've learned like 15 years ago, and I've been doing them for so long. So in this online course, I'm really like focusing on what I've learned, what have worked the best for me, and like to make it easy, because I like those recipe, I made them million of times, so I know them by heart, and I know how to teach them. So the first one is the fraisier. So the fraisier is the cake, is a traditional French cake. It's basically, to make you understand better, is like a strawberry shortcake. So we have like a jocon, there is a like a mousseline. So I'm explaining how to make a pastry cream, from the pastry cream how to make a mousseline, and then you have like a nice decoration, a whipped ganache on the top, and then you can decorate with like the flexible chocolate. So this fraisier is like a very special cake for me. I have done it like in like different competition. Is like the cake that I make for Mother's Day, is the cake I make like for Valentine's Day. It's I think it's my favorite cake to make and especially to offer. So it looks beautiful, it's fresh, it's light. Like my clients, they love this cake. So I think it's a really good cake to learn. It's a very like basic French classic. Then we go with the eclair. So the good thing like eclair. So you're gonna learn how to make a pâte à choux. Pâte à choux is like a big like classic, a French classic. From pâte à choux, you know you can make different shape. You can make cream puff. You're gonna learn how to make like a craquelin. So that's like a new technique. So it's very interesting to learn. And the same, you're gonna learn those basics, and then from this you can improve and create new things. Then the chocolate. So chocolate is like a Ferrero Rocher, but better because I made it. I made it with love. I love this cake. Like, you cannot go wrong with chocolate. So in this cake, same, you have the coating that I just taught you in the masterclass. But this coating, you can elevate it. So in this coating, you have some hazelnut. You can use a different type of chocolate. The recipe is slightly different because the chocolate is different. We use milk chocolate in this recipe. But same, with this chocolate, you don't have to put the coating. You can do what I just taught you in this masterclass. You can use like a velvet spray. You can use the shiny glaze. You can use coating with velvet. It's up to your imagination. Now that you know how to master the finishing, then it's like you can really use this cake and turn it into a different shape. So that's why it's very interesting, this online course, because you really can you know this is the basics, and then you can really go your own way. So that's really good. Then the sweet mango. So the sweet mango is very similar actually to the cake that I just showed you right now. So it's a mango mousse, there is an insert inside, and then we apply the velvet. So on this course, I'm teaching you even like deeper how to apply the velvet, like how to make the perfect velvet. Yeah. Then, of course, you cannot do a French masterclass without having macarons. So macarons, like, I think it's good. I love it. Like, you can make so many different flavor. You can be so creative. Some people put two fillings inside. So really, like this recipe of macarons, I've had so much struggle with macarons, and I finally like master. Like, I used to make like 100 macarons, 200 macarons. Now I'm at the point like we make batch of like 3,000 macarons. Sometimes we make like 9,000 macarons per day. So, and I'm using exactly this recipe, and that's because of this recipe that I was able really like to wholesale macarons. Everybody love it. I'm explaining the different techniques. Like you can make macarons with French meringue, Swiss meringue, Italian meringue. So you have a lot to learn about this, and I think it's pretty interesting to know. Then the last one, the croissant. Of course, you cannot do a French like online course without having a croissant. So croissant, I'm explaining you like a lot about lamination, like every details, the temperature of the butter, the texture of the butter, what flour you need to use, how much you need to knead the dough. And this course, like for the croissant, I have done it in person so many times, like a lot of times. And every time like people leave the class, they are like, they feel like they succeed. And just to see the face, like they are able to do it, like it feels, I feel really grateful, like to see like people, they come here, they don't know nothing about pastries, and then they come here with my, class in person, and then they master, they do it by themselves. I'm just telling them exactly how I'm telling in the course. So like I really apply the same technique when I do in person that I did in the course, to really like, and all those years that I was being like I was teaching croissant, when I started teaching, I was like, okay, like I learned so much about teaching, how to make people understand better, how to improve, because I also improved a lot about teaching. I know how to make the croissant, but then I learned how to teach how to make croissant. And on the previous online course that I did, I had so many feedback about the croissant class, and like it feels really good. People asking me questions, like to see like how people were able to succeed after watching this course. That was like for me, that was the reward of doing this course, because I've worked a lot with my team. We stayed like late every night until midnight. Like it was like very intense, and I really like I'm super happy after like to see, the after like we people take this course to that they are able to get things done like really well. So and also in this course you are not alone, because we created like a community group on WhatsApp. And then so basically like people when they have question, like they ask their question and they everybody help each other. So I think like the first time we launched the course, like it was really nice, it was really helpful. Like people ask me question, sometimes I can't reply right away, but as soon as I can reply, I'm always happy to help. It's like you get this course, you are not alone, like we are here with you, we support you. And yeah, so in this course, there's also bonus video. So basically once you master all of this and that you learned everything, I'm also going to teach you how to make your own desserts from scratch, like choosing like the mousse, choosing your insert, your texture that you want, the shape, then the glaze. Now you learn so much different technique of glaze, so you can like you can choose your own desserts. So I'm really explaining like step by step how you can build your own desserts. And then also I'm also teaching how you can start making money with the desserts. So basically I was making desserts in my living room in 2021 during COVID. And then I just quit my job and I left everything. And I was like, okay, now it's time for me to open my business. So I started to make desserts and I started to reach out client. But yeah, which client you need to reach out? Where you need to go? Do you need to create a menu? You need to create your price. So in this bonus video, I'm explaining everything, like how you create your menu, who you can reach out as a client. Like there's so many different direction you can go, and you need to make your own decision. So I'm helping you to make your decision and how you can go and who you need to reach out to sell desserts and start making money. So that's how I started. And also the very good thing compared to the first launch that I did for this online course is like people were a little bit worried that they only had 1 year access, and now you guys have a lifetime access to this course. So basically you can take all the time that you need. You can take your time, you can watch the course, you can do it, you can rewatch. Like you're gonna have lifetime access, because it's a feedback that I've had for the first online course that I've done, that we launched. And then I got this feedback, so I really wanted to improve to make sure that you guys are gonna be, like feeling like really good about this course. So no rush, you can take your time, you can, some people need more time to go slowly and step by step. So this was, I think, a really good point. So guys, thank you so much. And I hope I will see you inside the course really soon. If you have any question, let me know. I'm always happy to help you. And wait, you have only 7 days to enroll. So sign up right now. I see you inside the course soon. Bye.